United Nations Development Programme Thailand 2020 Annual Report. This report is prepared by United Nations Development Programme Thailand. This report is made by Daisy NCC Only Book by Daisy Thailand Project Foundation for the Blind Thailand on the 10th of February 2022. Total 47 pages. Read by Chanakwan Dunyawit. Front cover. On the upper left corner has message United Nations Development Programme Thailand. On the upper right corner has a logo of UNDP, United Nations Development Programme. It is a map of the world viewed from the North Pole, entwined by two olive branches. On the lower left corner has QR code. Lower right corner has message 2020 Annual Report. Inner page. Cover photo. Copyright UNDP. Women from the Morgan ethnic group prepare sun-dried fish in Rawai, Phuket to sustain their livelihood during the COVID-19 pandemic. Table of contents. Foreword. Page 3 in Roman numeric. UNDP's contribution to the COVID-19 response. Page 4 in Roman numeric. The SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and UNDP. Page 8 in Roman numeric. Key results in numbers. Page 12 in Roman numeric. Section 1. Fostering social cohesion, democratic governance and rule of law. Page 1. Supporting the government of Thailand achieving the SDGs. Page 1. Localizing the SDGs. Page 2. Promoting an integrated approach to development in the southern border provinces. Page 3. Supporting accountable institutions. Page 4. Promoting human rights and human security. Page 4. Section 2. Promoting wildlife conservation, climate action, and a green environment. Page 7. Conserving wildlife. Page 7. Promoting biodiversity conservation. Page 10. Climate action. Page 15. Youth engagement on climate change. Page 17. Low carbon cities. Page 19. Sustainable mangrove management and coastal ecosystem development. Page 20. Section 3. Strengthening gender equality and social inclusion. Page 23. Women's empowerment. Page 23. Moving from tolerance to inclusion of LGBTI, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex people. Page 25. Promoting disability inclusion. Page 27. Section 4. Innovating and partnering for a sustainable future. Page 29. UNDP promoting innovation in Thailand. Page 29. Private sector engagement. Page 30. South-South cooperation. Page 32. UNDP and the UN United Nations in Thailand. Page 34. UNV United Nations Volunteer and Volunteerism in Thailand. Page 38. UNDP Knowledge Products. Page 40. UNDP Funding. Page 42. Who we are and where we work. Page 44. Students in Phang Nga Province took part in tsunami evacuation drill in December 2020. Foreword. For development actors, 2020 was supposed to be a year rich with opportunities to advance the Sustainable Development Agenda with key international summits on biodiversity and climate change to address the growing challenge of marine debris and plastic pollution. An ocean conference was scheduled. 2020 also marked the 75th anniversary of the creation of the United Nations, and many member states were planning together with UN agencies to celebrate this milestone of multilateralism. But a zoonotic virus named COVID-19 has completely disrupted all plans and brought havoc to our planet and our global community. In a matter of weeks, the spread of the virus became a global pandemic with dramatic health consequences. The social and economic impact of the pandemic, with countries closing borders and declaring lockdowns, is extremely severe, and the financing of the response and recovery have mobilized significant resources. As a result, socio-economic and overall development indicators are turning red, and several studies have already shown some reversal of the hard-gained progress made towards the Sustainable Development Goals. In Thailand, if the country was able to successfully contain the first waves of the virus, relying on an effective universal health coverage and strong prevention measures, as well as substantive financing, to limit the negative socio-economic impact of the pandemic, the crisis is far from over, with a strong new wave, leading to record high levels of infections and severely challenging the resilience of the results achieved towards the SDGs. Throughout 2020, UNDP has had to rapidly reprogram resources and work plans to support Thailand's response to COVID-19, focusing less on the health response and more on the socio-economic impact, especially on the most vulnerable segments of society. The already existing vulnerabilities of some of the youth, women, migrants, and stateless people, informal workers, people from ethnic minorities, LGBTI community, and people living with disabilities made them even more prone to devastating impact of the crisis. New resources amounting to $3.3 million were mobilized and allocated to alleviate the impact of the pandemic. The results achieved so far through our COVID-19 response programming are presented in this report, and activities continue as the pandemic affects an increasing number of people in Thailand. In addition to this reprogramming, the pandemic is also teaching us important lessons. It has confirmed the relevance of the SDGs and their underlying values and principles: sustainability, inclusion, better balance between nature and human activities, etc. Hence, the importance of keeping Agenda 2030 as the beacon for all COVID-19 recovery programs. Given the global nature of the pandemic, but also the realization that until everyone is safe, no one is safe, the crisis has also validated the need for multilateralism and global cooperation. This translates in increased responsibility for UNDP to make itself even more relevant, more efficient and effective. UNDP has continued implementation of its regular programming in Thailand, despite the challenges posed by restriction to travel to the field and adopting new working from home modalities to safeguard the progress towards the SDGs. For UNDP in Thailand, as well as for the whole UN team, 2021 is the last year of the current 5 years programming cycle, and all the work in responding to the pandemic, rethinking our approach, considering the lessons it provides, is timely to guide the team envision a new UN cooperation framework and a new UNDP country program to start in 2022. We need to leverage our collaboration and partnerships to hear the aspiration of the people of Thailand, especially the most vulnerable, listen to the expectation of the Royal Thai government and the guidance of our development partners to formulate this new program. Finally, allow me to thank all the partners, communities, and organizations that have provided support to the implementation of UNDP projects and initiatives, allowing us to contribute to improving the lives of the Thai people despite the very challenging circumstances of our work in 2020. Renaud Meyer, UNDP Resident Representative in Thailand. UNDP's contribution to the COVID-19 response. UNDP partnered with the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security to launch the Chang Pom Un Chai project, supporting barbers and hairdressers who were affected by COVID-19. As early as January 2020, Thailand became the first country outside of China to confirm cases of COVID-19. Since then, the virus spread across the globe and within the country. The government declared a state of emergency on 26 March 2020 and announced a range of measures, including closure of public venues, department stores and restaurants, closure of borders, a nightly curfew, and encouraging work from home. While containing the spread of the virus, the restrictions increased unemployment, loss of working hours, and decrease of household income, especially for vulnerable groups, small enterprises, and those working in the tourism industry. UNDP launched a range of projects, partnering with various donors, government counterparts, civil society organizations, and the private sector to help the most affected to cope and adapt to the new requirements imposed by the crisis. Immediate crisis response. UNDP conducted several surveys to get an overview of the impact on Thailand's vulnerable groups, including the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex, LGBTI community, youth, and ethnic minorities. The responses highlight loss of income, high level of anxiety and stress, as well as concerns of increased level of violence and tensions in households. Funds were rapidly redirected. UNDP provided grants to support to the most vulnerable groups. UNDP also provided food, water, and personal protective equipment to approximately 3,200 LGBTI sex workers in Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Pattaya, and Songkhla. Read more. QR code https://www.th.uндp.org/content/amplifying-the-voiceless.html. COVID-19 affected businesses, driving changes in consumer behavior that threaten jobs. Among these are barbershops and hair salons. Business owners had to adapt to include hygiene measures and equipment to ensure safe conditions themselves. As many of the barbershops and UNDP worked with the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security and 6 national professional barber and hair salon associations to launch the Chang Pomอุ่นใจ project. Support was given to small barbershops and hair salons nationwide to reopen their businesses in a safe manner through the provision of equipment as well as through publicly available online training courses on safety guidelines. QR code https://medium.com/cutting-away-the-covid-blues-FAD-2249324. Through partnerships with key local civil society organizations, UNDP provided basic necessities in the form of food, water, and personal protective equipment (PPEs) to approximately 3,200 LGBTI sex workers in Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Chonburi, Pattaya City, and Songkhla. Supporting grassroots for an inclusive recovery. Grants were given to organizations that work with vulnerable communities. This was made possible through funding from Japan of close to $2.5 million to support the UNDP COVID-19 response. In parallel, UNDP received $100,000 from the City Foundation's COVID-19 Relief Fund to support communities from the 3 southern borders provinces to rebuild and protect development gains and enhance livelihood opportunities of the local communities through the promotion of micro-entrepreneurship. Crowdfunding under Got Tau Better Together with the Krung Thai Bank and the Rak Thai Foundation was used to help tourist boat operators and taxi drivers by providing cash for work. Each person received a monthly income for 3 months to collect plastic waste from beaches. Chumchon Thai Foundation, Phuket, increasing income through fish processing. Chumchon Thai Foundation coordinate help and support by connecting over 100 groups and networks who have been affected by the impact of COVID-19. In 2020, the organization was awarded a grant by UNDP to strengthen and build capacity for vocational training, increase income, and produce processed fruit, while also incorporate marketing, tourism, and other business skills to offer sustainable solutions to a community crisis. The dried fish produced by the Chao Lei community was sent to help other ethnic minority groups whose livelihoods and food security have been affected by COVID-19. We are now able to build more fish habitats. This project supports me and our community to produce food for our own consumption as well as to earn extra income from food processing, said Mr. Sanit Sasua, local fisher person, Phuket. Policy responses to COVID-19. UNDP provided policy advice to support the government response. A socio-economic impact assessment of COVID-19 in Thailand was commissioned and was led by UNDP and United Nations Children's Fund, working with the Office of the National Economic and Social Development Council and the Asian Development Bank. The report highlights the impact of COVID-19 crisis on employment, job loss and reduction of working hours affected household income, leading to social impacts. The most affected groups were children and the elderly, people with disabilities and chronic illness, and the urban poor. Informal workers were ineligible for some of the social support schemes introduced by the government. In addition, women's overrepresentation in some of the worst affected sectors, such as retail and tourism, had a negative effect on their employment. The study highlighted the need to strengthen social safety nets to ensure household income. QR code https://thailand/en/home/library/social-economic-impact-of-covid-19-in-Thailand.html. To better understand the impact of the pandemic at subnational level, UNDP also undertook a socio-economic impact assessment for the province of Phuket, working with the Prince of Songkhla University and the Provincial Governor's Office. Phuket's economy is heavily dependent on tourism, and as such, the travel restrictions have had a big impact on the local economy. Building on the assessment, UNDP and the Prince of Songkhla University are supporting the development of Phuket's recovery vision and strategy. Want to know more about UNDP's response to COVID-19 in Thailand? Scan the QR code to read more. QR code https://www.content/thailand/en/home/covid-19-pandemic response/support-national-response.html. UNDP remained committed to assisting Thailand achieve the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). The crisis highlighted the need to accelerate progress towards the SDGs. The SDGs and UNDP. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. While the country has made significant progress on the goals, the COVID-19 pandemic and its socio-economic consequences are slowing and could even reverse this progress. In 2020, UNDP supported the implementation of the SDGs by continuing its support to various ministries, the private sector, and the broader public. With an emphasis on youth, an important milestone was the signing of Memorandum of Understanding with the Secretariat of the House of Representatives of Thailand in August 2020. Through this, UNDP supports the Parliament's core functions related to the legislative agenda, national budget and accountability role, and how these can reinforce progress towards the goals, including with the publication of a parliamentary handbook in Thai to explain and guide the role of Parliament in the SDGs. UNDP signs a Memorandum of Understanding with the Secretariat of the House of Representatives of Thailand in August 2020. This partnership enables UNDP to support the Parliament's core functions to reinforce progress towards achieving the SDGs. A group of Sea Gypsies holding the SDGs signs at the Morgan village in Surin Islands. UNDP is working with subnational authorities and community stakeholders to deepen their knowledge and improve their capacity to adopt the SDGs in their plans and activities, identify priority issues as well as locally defined solutions. The National Socio-Economic Development Council and the Ministry of Interior selected 9 provinces and local administrations across the country to pilot this localization. UNDP's engagement with the private sector on SDGs focused on encouraging businesses of all sizes to move beyond traditional corporate social responsibility activities to incorporating the global goals into their business operations and strategies. UNDP worked with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Global Compact Network Thailand to organize events and workshops to raise awareness and inform companies on the importance of sustainability and inclusion to their businesses and how to measure and manage businesses' contributions to the SDG. Kani Vignaraja, Director of the UNDP Regional Bureau for Asia and the Pacific, joined the seminar From Environmental, Social and Corporate Governance (ESG) to SDGs, Integrating SDGs Impact Measurement and Management Framework in Business and Investment Strategies on 24 February 2020. UNDP Thailand joins the opening of Chulalongkorn University's Center for Social Development Studies Social Innovation Hub and presents on socially innovative ways to achieve the SDGs. Throughout 2020, UNDP intensified its engagement with youth as agents of change for the SDGs. More than 150 youth were trained to enhance their advocacy skills. They were also provided with a platform by connecting them with professional organizations and businesses. In 2020, an accelerator lab was established within UNDP in Thailand. Officially launched in 2021, The UNDP Accelerator Labs consist of a network of labs across the globe where UNDP operates. The objective of the labs is to speed up development by incorporating innovative methods to achieve change and to identify integrated solutions to increasingly challenging complex development challenges. Message from Mr. Natthawatt Grissanamara, Director General of the Department of International Organizations of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand. We live in a rapidly changing world. The world, and indeed Thailand, has witnessed not only the public health and socio-economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, but also its devastating effects on our implementation of the 2030 Agenda. Thailand's efforts to advance the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) must also contend with disruptive technologies, climate change, and other external shocks. UNDP has worked closely with the Royal Thai government in this new development landscape, from projects to promote a low-carbon economy and build social resilience during the pandemic to cooperation on environmental conservation and business and human rights. UNDP has made concrete contributions to the implementation of the SDGs in Thailand. In particular, UNDP has worked hand-in-hand with Thai agencies in their drive to move forward innovation for development, especially through the establishment of the Thailand Policy Lab (TP Lab). I am also particularly pleased to note the strong synergies with the Royal Thai government's effort in promoting the sufficiency economy philosophy, Thailand's pathway towards sustainable development that is practical and applicable beyond Thailand's national borders. This has led to the joint development of the upcoming 6th edition of the Thailand Human Development Report, which focuses on the application of the Sufficiency Economy Philosophy (SEP) in the era of the SDGs. Looking ahead, I am confident that the cooperation between UNDP and Thailand will grow from strength to strength. This cooperation not only covers interaction with the Royal Thai government, but also with other sectors, be they the private sector, civil society, academia, or youth, as part of a multi-stakeholder approach towards the achievement of SDG. I believe there is more potential for partnerships such as with UNDP as Thailand works toward attaining a more balanced and sustainable development. Key results in numbers. 3,200 LGBTI sex workers received necessities in the form of food, water, and personal protective equipment (PPE) in key provinces throughout the country, including Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Chonburi, Pattaya City, and Songkhla. Over 6,000 young people were engaged by UNDP to speak out via a survey on the problems they have faced during the COVID-19 pandemic. 1,000 hairdressers across Thailand received online training on COVID-19 safety. 31,935 people received low-value grants with support from the government of Japan to respond to the impacts of COVID-19. Over 150 young people were trained on social issues that they are interested in and given space to take action with media creation and idea pitching. Over 100 young people participated in the program Youth Co-Lab to develop social innovation with the theme Youth for COVID Recovery during the COVID-19 outbreak, addressing local social issues such as education, local livelihoods, and mental health. 24 high-risk areas sent teachers from 35 schools in to train in first national guidelines for tsunami evacuation plans and drills for schools in Phang Nga and 5 provincial educational service area offices in Andaman coastal provinces. 12 provinces were venue for workshops on promoting the implementation of the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights 2019 to 2022 to ensure implementation of the National Action Plan (NAP) at the provincial level. 500 participants from 5 southern border provinces joined a seminar on the effect of COVID-19 to the economy, border trade, and tourism in the southern provinces, organized in September 2020. 200 small tourist boat operators and taxi drivers on island of Koh Tao in the Gulf of Thailand were paid for 3 months for helping clean Koh Tao and preserve biodiversity, funded by the campaign Koh Tao Better Together. 60 young people joined the Action for Climate Empowerment (ACE) Youth Camp to take climate action in reducing carbon footprint in their communities while supporting advocacy efforts to tackle climate change. 50 students from Ban Koh Tao School received training on communication via social media and were supported with a communication studio with video production equipment. The result was a YouTube channel called Tao Noi Channel and a Tao Noi Story Facebook page. 681 students and 92 teachers and school personnel from Racha Prachanukraht 35 schools took part in a tsunami evacuation drill in December based on new national guidelines to better prepare for future tsunamis. 120,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent by the end of 2020 were reduced through 24 greenhouse gas (GHG) emission reduction demonstration projects covering waste, transport, and energy efficiency were carried out in Chiang Mai, Khon Kaen, Nakhon Ratchasima, and Samui. Over 100 social entrepreneurs in Asia Pacific got the chance to connect, exchange knowledge, and foster collaboration through the Impact Venture Dialogues organized by UNDP in 2020. The focus was on how COVID-19 can create new opportunities for businesses, workers, and consumers. In November 2020, UNDP met Minister Akom Termpithaya to discuss collaboration with the Ministry of Finance. Section 1. Fostering social cohesion, democratic governance and rule of law. Supporting the government of Thailand achieving the SDGs. UNDP works with many ministries and central departments of the Royal Thai Government. These include the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the National Economic and Social Development Council, custodian of the SDG agenda, to the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Justice, and the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security, and others, meaning that UNDP collaborates with many institutions of the executive branch of government. The ambition of the SDGs and the increasingly complex nature of the development challenges facing Thailand call for even broader partnerships, and in 2020, UNDP strengthened its collaboration with both the legislative and judicial branches of the government. UNDP, which works with more than 60 national parliaments globally, is the world's largest parliamentary project implementer. UNDP assists parliaments worldwide to fulfill their role in the implementation of the SDGs, mainly with their legislative and budgetary functions, but also acting as mechanism for strong accountability and representation. In August 2020, UNDP signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Secretariat of the House of Representatives of Thailand. The aims to give parliamentarians and parliamentary staff knowledge and capacity to contribute to the implementation of the SDGs. As a first activity, UNDP and the Secretariat of the House of Representatives launched a parliamentary handbook on Parliament's role in implementing the Sustainable Development Goals and organized a workshop on SDGs for the parliamentarian and parliamentary staff. QR code https://www.youtube.com/watch?mark v=NMQXFZ J07UE. In 2020, support was provided to the Supreme Court in the International Framework for Court Excellence Self-Assessment. This promotes transparency, integrity, and accountability as part of broader quality management. The Supreme Court has established the self-assessment form for the Thai Court of Justice, which is now pilot in selected courts. In November 2020, UNDP took an important step in deepening the relationship with the Ministry of Finance through a discussion with the Ministry of Finance on the formulation of an integrated national finance framework. This serves to strengthen planning processes and overcome impediments to development financings. The framework will allow Thailand to increase required investment to ensure recovery and SDG progress. To allow countries in the region to learn from each other, UNDP organized knowledge exchange among officers working on prevention of violent extremism in Association of Southeast Asian Nations (ASEAN). UNDP continues discussing with government partners to adapt methodologies and best practices for the Thai context. Localizing the SDGs. UNDP is working to support the achievement of the SDGs at national and subnational level, engaging with many municipalities, provinces, and other local administrations across the country. These engage local decision makers from government, business sector, civil society organizations, local universities, and communities. For example, working with the Rights and Liberties Protection Department of the Ministry of Justice, UNDP organized workshops on promoting the implementation of the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights 2019 to 2022 in 12 provinces. At the subnational level, UNDP works to raise awareness and increase capacity among stakeholders to accelerate localizations of the SDGs. An important actor for this work is the National League of Municipalities of Thailand. In December 2020, UNDP joined the annual conference of the league organized in Phuket. More than 2,000 municipalities participated in the event. At the conference, UNDP organized an exhibition to raise mayors' awareness of the SDGs. UNDP also met with several provincial chapters of the Youth Entrepreneur of the Thai Chamber of Commerce to discuss the role local business leaders have in contributing to the achievement of the SDGs. Partnerships have also been established with several academic institutions, such as Chiang Mai University, School of Public Policy, and the Prince of Songkhla University in southern Thailand, to collaborate on SDG-related projects. At the request of Phuket's Provincial Chamber of Commerce, joined by the Provincial Governor's Office and other professional organizations of the province, UNDP undertook an impact assessment of the COVID-19 pandemic on the socio-economic situation of the island. The assessment will lead to a broader exercise of visioning a more SDG-aligned recovery and development pathway to inform the upcoming provincial development plan. Promoting an integrated approach to development in the southern border provinces. In 2020, UNDP gradually evolved its approach in the southern border provinces and work in a more integrated manner, contributing to SDG localization. Starting with in-depth listening with 6 sub-district administration, solutions focusing on leadership in crisis response, local economic recovery, and diversifying the economy, and progress towards the SDGs have been identified. UNDP, with support from the Akire Lehendakaria Center for Social and Political Studies and the Basque Food Innovation Lab, continue its work on the social innovation platform for the southern border provinces, initiated in late 2019. The platform focuses on the potential of redesigning food system as a driver for change. QR code /////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////// opportunities were also created through assistance to local level institutions in creating employment and income-generated businesses targeting low-income households, women groups, youth, and the unemployed person of the COVID-19 crisis. Portfolio of 5 levels of intervention: community relations, public-private partnerships, innovative regulations, startups, new public services, next-gen governance and socio-economic transformation in southern Thailand, community relations, startups, new public services, innovative regulations, public-private partnerships. A picture of a map of Thailand with the highlighted provinces Songkhla, Pattani, Narathiwat, Yala. Supporting accountable institutions. Fighting corruption and supporting accountable institutions is integral to the SDGs. SDG 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions makes explicit mention of corruption, with targets related to reducing bribery, strengthening institutions, and accessing information. The Ministry of Finance, through the Comptroller General's Department, plans to develop regulations supporting the Public Procurement Act. UNDP provided technical assistance that will inform the amendment of the law and regulations, as well as provide suggestions to the operational public procurement reform process. To support the digitalization of Thailand's public procurement, a training was provided with the support of the Government Digital Service of the United Kingdom Government. These addressed digital marketplace platforms for the Office of the Comptroller General's Department's officials on procurement guidelines, from procurement planning, contract management, to evaluation processes. UNDP and the National Anti-Corruption Commission have also organized online webinar on preventing measures on corruption. In 2020, UNDP supported Thailand participation in an online webinar on justice in times of COVID-19, organized by the ASEAN Judicial Integrity Network, which allowed the exchange of experience in introducing in the judiciary new technologies to ensure continuity of services and making the courts more open and inclusive using digital solutions. In parallel, UNDP supported the Supreme Court of Thailand in adapting to the national context the international framework for court excellence and conducting a self-assessment related to judicial integrity. This work will be pursued and expanded to all courts in Thailand in 2021. Promoting human rights and human security. UNDP is supporting Thailand in respecting, protecting, and fulfilling human rights. An important milestone was the adoption of the first National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, launched by the Prime Minister in December 2019. In 2020, support to the implementation of the National Action Plan focused on working with the private sector by developing a Business and Human Rights Academy. A first pilot training of the academy was conducted with the Global Compact Network Thailand the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Rights and Liberties Protection Department of the Ministry of Justice. Further support was provided to human rights defenders, one of the 4 priorities areas of the National Action Plan. UNDP led studies on the protection of human rights defenders and anti-strategic litigation against public participation, laws and measures. The final studies will be submitted to the National Committee for driving the implementation of the National Action Plan for consideration and further action. The studies are aimed to be finalized by 2021. Creative and Strategic Communication for Sustainability Workshop trained ethnic youth to utilize communication tools to promote better understanding of cultural diversity. A mapping of good practices for the management of transgender prisoners was conducted jointly with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. Many of the issues presented challenge the fundamental principles underpinning the binary CIS normative environment that defines the modern correctional system. Targeted recommendations were proposed to encourage the government and prison authorities to align their policies and practices with evidence of good practices. UNDP engaged with ethnic minority groups in several ways, including advocacy to increase the public knowledge and awareness of the challenges facing these groups. UNDP organized workshops on creative and strategic communication for sustainability for ethnic minorities. The participants also included stateless persons who, in addition to discrimination, also face challenges and barriers due to their lack of citizenship. The participants were equipped with tools to advocate for their rights. Strengthening social innovation and entrepreneurship skills for youth in Thailand is an important part of the work under UNDP Thailand's youth strategy. Since 2017, UNDP has organized the initiative Youth CoLab in Thailand, a platform to empower youth to create social impact and enhance their livelihood through social innovation and social entrepreneurship, to contribute to resolving social, economic, and environmental challenges. In 2020, the program adopted the theme of Youth for COVID Recovery during the COVID-19 outbreak. More than 100 youth participated and were supported to use social innovation to address issues in their local communities. The challenges tackled by the participants in 2020 included areas such as education, livelihoods, and mental health. QR code https://the-catalog-of-high-thailand/en/high-thailand-high-en-to-2020-high-thailand/high-thailand/of-high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high-thailand/en/high- Hoi Kha Khang Wildlife Sanctuary is site of the UNDP Tiger Project funded by the Global Environment Facility. Section 2. Promoting wildlife conservation, climate action, and a green environment. Thailand has a very rich and diverse biodiversity, and natural resources are a key pillar of its economy, from agriculture to tourism. These resources are under stress by human activities, and climate change is negatively impact ecosystems and challenging the livelihoods of communities. UNDP is working with many partners on climate action, biodiversity and wildlife conservation, adopting a whole-of-society approach and focusing on engaging youth in its work. Conserving wildlife. With funding from the Global Environment Facility, UNDP works with the Department of National Parks and Wildlife Conservation to improve coordination and cooperation between the agencies involved in wildlife management and relevant law and other organizations to strengthen the fight against illegal wildlife trade (IWT) across Thailand. UNDP supported the establishment of the Thailand Wildlife Enforcement Network to bring together various organizations such as the Office of the Attorney General, the Anti-Money Laundering Organization, the Office of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, the Court of Justice, the Port Authority of Thailand, in combating illegal wildlife trade. Task forces were set up in the provinces of Nong Khai and Songkhla to engage local law enforcement authorities to address this issue in the border areas with Malaysia and Laos, People's Democratic Republic. UNDP, along with the head of the national park, a representative from the International Union for Conservation of Nature, visited a national park to be used as a demonstration site to set up an illegal wildlife trade operation center in Songkhla province. From forest living to organic living. Before being involved with UNDP Tiger Project, I was one of the people who relied on the forest for income. But after I participated, it made me realize the importance of preserving the forest and wildlife in our area. I stopped relying on the forest. Moreover, UNDP project supported and encouraged our family to be independent by growing vegetables and herbs with low chemical, which is good for the environment. It created more income for our family. We stopped loaning from others and our debt decreased. If I had not joined this project, I would still be only monocropping and continuously fighting with wildlife. My lifestyle has changed and I learned how to earn stable income without harming the forest and wildlife. Human, forest and wildlife can coexist. Rosalind Buatong, Facebook, Products of HKK, Products of ห้วยขาแข้ง Community ผลผลิตเครือข่ายชุมชนห้วยขาแข้ง Chemical Free, a new life. As a producer, I am very happy.I get a fair and different price from merchants who buy my produce. I believe the wildlife-friendly community project is on the right path to help herbs and fruit farmers. I want to increase my production capacity and I want to learn more about organic agriculture, such as methods to prevent insects and organic fertilizers. My knowledge is not yet enough.I am very proud to be growing safe produce for the consumers. If I keep using chemical, I might not live to see my son's manhood. มนตรีเชิดชม Facebook Products of HKK Products of ห้วยขาแข้ง Community ผลผลิตเครือข่ายชุมชนห้วยขาแข้ง UNDP worked with the government and local communities around the ห้วยขาแข้ง World Heritage Site.to establish a wildlife-friendly community areas as a demonstration site for improving collaboration between park rangers and local farmers and identify sustainable livelihoods for the communities that are compatible with wildlife conservation. A comprehensive plan and landscape design for the development of wildlife-based ecosystem around the World Heritage Site was adopted by the Department of National Parks and the authorities of the Uthai Thani province. In addition, communities were encouraged and provided training to shift from monocropping practices to a more diversified crop production to improve income.This contributed to reaching agreement with local communities for some previously encroached area to be rededicated to wildlife habitat maintained by community members. The Tiger Exhibition, the ห้วยขาแข้ง Wildlife Sanctuary, classified as a United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization (UNESCO) Natural World Heritage Site.is home to the largest Indochina tiger population. to raise awareness amongst city dwellers on the issues surrounding wildlife conservation. UNDP, in collaboration with Thailand's Department of National Parks, Wildlife and Plant Conservation, organized an exhibition, Tiger Story, a story from Hoi Kha Kheng. It presented to the general public information and stories about preserving the forest and improving the coexistence of humans and wildlife, using the creativity and artistic skills of young local designers during the Bangkok Design Week 2020. UNDP hosted ambassadors' visit to Hoi Kha Kheng Wildlife Sanctuary to promote the work of UNDP on wildlife and biodiversity conservation. UNDP and its partners hosted His Excellency's Ambassador K. Rader from the Embassy of the Netherlands to Thailand and Her Excellency Ambassador Sarah Taylor from the Embassy of Canada to Thailand on a field visit to the Hoi Kha Kheng Wildlife Sanctuary, site of the Global Environment Facility GEF-funded UNDP Tiger Project. Thailand's Bun Reang community wins UNDP Equator Prize. The Bun Reang Wetland Forest Conservation Group was one of the 10 outstanding ethnic and local groups from across the world to be awarded the 2020 UNDP Equator Prize. This group, based in Chiang Rai Province in northern Thailand, was recognized for stewardship over the largest wetland forest in the Ing River Basin. Through advocacy and dialogue, this community forestry model protects an ecosystem critical for agriculture, habitat, carbon storage, and biodiversity preservation in the Indo-Burma region. It successfully stood against the creation of a special economic zone planned by the government that would have significantly disrupted conservation efforts and ancestral community practices. QR code https://www.equatorreinitiative.org/equator-prize. Promoting biodiversity conservation. To promote biodiversity conservation, UNDP engaged with various sectors of society, including the government, private sector, and youth. UNDP advocates for and promotes sustainable management of natural resources as a foundation to green growth and inclusive development, provides technical assistance and works with partners to formulate financial strategies for biodiversity conservation, including through the UNDP Global Initiative on Biodiversity Financing, BioFin. These included convening a stakeholder consultation to ensure all voices are taken into consideration in the process of drafting Thailand's Biodiversity Act. The key contribution from UNDP in the draft Biodiversity Act is to push the resource mobilization forward through legal framework development on implementation of finance mechanisms and incentives for biodiversity management at national and subnational levels. UNDP successfully advocated for the adoption by the government of an improved and more inclusive methodology to design the next National Biodiversity Strategic and Action Plan, a key policy document to guide the achievement of national biodiversity targets aligned to the UN Convention on Biological Diversity. In addition, UNDP provided technical support to the government to prepare the 2020 Financial Reporting Framework (FRF) for submission to the Secretariat of the Convention. A technical team was established under the BioFin initiative to work closely with the Office of Natural Resources and Environmental Policy and Planning by using the Biodiversity Expenditure Review methodology. The final FRF report is expected to be endorsed by the National Biodiversity Committee of Thailand in September 2020 as key evidence-based analysis for the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. After the first gathering of Thai youth at a UNDP event, Thailand Youth Voices for Biodiversity in October 2019, The Global Youth Biodiversity Network for Thailand, GYBN Thailand, has continued to mobilize youth for biodiversity-related work and received an official recognition by the GYBN International in July 2020 to become the official chapter mobilizing youth voice at the national level of Thailand. This successful institutionalization of the group with UNDP support ensured continuation of collaboration with government, academy, and civil society by linking resources and opportunities for Thai youth to bring their voice to the decision-making process on policy linked to biodiversity conservation. QR code https://www.biofin.org/crowdfunding/got-tau-better-together. Also under Biofin, a team was established in Got Tau, an island located in Thailand's southern province of Surat Thani in the Gulf of Thailand, with a rich land and marine biodiversity, and whose economy totally depends on nature tourism. The team conducted a socio-economic impact assessment of COVID-19 on the island's tourism sector. To address the impact of the pandemic, UNDP launched the Got Tau Better Together crowdfunding campaign in collaboration with Krung Thai Bank and the Raks Thai Foundation, which raised close to $100,000, way above the original target, to help 200 vulnerable families in a Catch for Work scheme focused on cleaning the beaches and the waters around the island, recycling the waste collected, and mobilizing the local community for biodiversity conservation. The kick-off event of Got Tau Better Together crowdfunding, co-hosted by UNDP and Krung Thai Bank, has mobilized more than 1,000 participants from Got Tau sub-district to join force with the UNDP KTB Love Got Tau Big Cleaning Day. Back before the project, there was no coordination on cleaning up. Now among the long-tail boat group, the taxi boat group, and the traditional fisherman group, we help each other look after every bay on the island. The cleanup activity helps unify our love of the island. We can see the sustainability of Got Tau's travel industry. Payom Padungkiat, Secretary to Got Tau Tourism Association. Locals of Got Tau joined forces to collect marine debris during the big cleaning day. Rano Meya, UNDP resident representative, visited Ban Got Tau School to meet with Tau Noi youth group and provide a communication studio with video production equipment. Youth engagement is crucial to raise awareness on climate-related issues. UNDP mobilized local youth groups in Got Tau during the COVID-19 crisis and provided trainings on using social media to raise awareness of the community. 50 students at the local Ban Got Tau school were mobilized and a communication studio with video production equipment was provided. These enabled them to produce content and share their work and perspective on the importance of preserving natural resources. The students created their own online YouTube channel and Facebook page to mobilize the Got Tau community on these issues. QR code https://www.youtube.com/watch?mark_OVZKA Tau Noi Studio broadcasting the Biodiversity Talk program with Thai celebrity guests to support the crowdfunding campaign. Another example of youth engagement was with the Peat Swamp Youth Challenge, organized to engage youth in conservation of peat swamps. Local youth teams were mobilized to learn about how to undertake an economic evaluation of the peat swamps to understand the value of this resource and use it as an argument for conservation, stressing the importance of livelihoods deriving from the peat swamp area. 6 videos were produced by youth to tell story of communities nearby peat swamps in Thailand, such as Kruan Kheng Peat Swamp in Nakhon Si Thammarat, Nam Noi peat swarm in Pathalung and To Dang peat swarm in Narathiwat. The winner of the competition was Yavi Production, which highlighted preservation efforts and economic value of peat swarms in Songkhla province. QR code https://UCG37I18I32PF_OMKXB66_6Q. Youth Creative Media Contest for Peat Swarm Forest was organized in collaboration with the Office of Natural Resources and Environmental Policy and Planning (ONEP). Over 100 artwork submissions to raise awareness and advocate for the conservation of peat swarm areas. Message from Georg Schmidt, Ambassador of Germany to Thailand. The SARS-CoV-2 pandemic shows us how vulnerable we are. However, our vulnerability does not stop at the pandemic. We are part of the ecosystem. Our personal health is linked to the health of our planet. Rich biodiversity, pure air, and clean oceans are under threat. We need to reduce our ecological footprint in daily life to preserve the environment and combat climate change. Public awareness is the starting point of change, accompanied by consistent and effective actions. Economic incentives and innovative financing instruments can play a crucial role in protecting biodiversity and our climate. In practice, it can include island visitation fees and conservation funds to help preserve Thailand's rich marine and coastal ecosystem and to foster sustainable tourism. Innovative financing mechanisms aim to mobilize substantial public and private sector investment for mitigating climate change and creating sustainable growth. The SARS-CoV-2 crisis offers a great opportunity to invest in green recovery and accelerate sustainable economy pathways. I am glad that we have a strong partnership between Germany and the local UNDP office. In that way, we can support Thailand in implementing its national biodiversity strategies and action plans, as well as its nationally determined contributions (NDC) to reach the Paris Agreement goals. As largest single donor country of UNDP Thailand, Germany is contributing to the biodiversity financing initiative BioFin 2 and the NDC support project to foster green growth and inclusive development. We are also committed to continue our fruitful collaboration with UNDP as part of the UN Partnership of Action on Green Economy, PAGE. A new joint project is the collaboration on raising awareness of local citizens on air quality in Chiang Mai and potential mitigation measures. On all those projects, I am highly impressed by the creative and engaged work of the UNDP Thailand team and looking forward to our continued collaboration. Climate action. During 2020, UNDP engaged with various partners to support Thailand in achieving its greenhouse gas (GHG) reduction target, working with local governments, national agencies, and civil society organizations. Technical assistance was provided to 4 municipalities, namely Chiang Mai, Khon Kaen, Nakhon Ratchasima, and Samui, to formulate low-carbon city development plans. UNDP supported Thailand's submission of the Biennial Update Report (BUR) for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, launched in December of 2020. These involved engaging with key stakeholders through technical working groups, which included key stakeholders representing various sectors such as energy, transport, industrial waste, agriculture, and the forest sector, as well as line ministries. Data was collected through this process to contribute to the calculation of GHG emission and allow the government to approve its national GHGs inventory. The full report can be accessed on United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change UNFCCC websites at QR code https://unfccc.int/documents/267629. The Green Climate Fund (GCF) approved a $3 million grant for Thailand to implement on UNDP program titled Increasing Resilience to Climate Change Impacts in Marine and Coastal Area along the Gulf of Thailand. This 4-year program was developed in collaboration with the Office of Natural Resources and Environmental Policy and Planning (ONEP), the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources, both under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment (MONRE) and UNDP. This new program will support Thailand to advance climate change adaptation planning in relation to marine and coastal areas in the Gulf of Thailand, gender-responsive solutions to reduce disaster risks and mobilization of local communities in climate change adaptation and mitigation are key features of this program, expected to start in early 2021. Under GEF funding, and to address climate change impact, UNDP conducted a study of landscape strategies in 4 target areas in Thailand. 1. Gang Krachan Forest Complex. 2. Mae Lao Watershed. 3. Phetchabun Mountains. And 4. Phang Nga Bay. The landscape strategies will guide interventions to adapt these landscapes from a social, economic, and ecological resilience perspective to climate change. Non-government organizations and community-based organizations will be provided grants to implement local projects that contribute to biodiversity conservation, climate change mitigation and adaptation, sustainable land management, and integrated water resources management. In 2020, 4 multi-stakeholder workshops were conducted in Phuket, Chiang Rai, Loi, and Phetchaburi province to collect inputs and views from the communities that contribute to the formulation of the strategy and identifying projects. Sea Gypsy community built efficient solar stoves to produce sun-dried fishes and seafoods for food sharing and income to sustain their livelihood during and potentially beyond the pandemic. At the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, a survey was conducted to assess the impact of the pandemic on ethnic minorities. This resulted in the proposal development and selection process for 4 non-government organizations (NGOs) to receive grants to assist groups of ethnic groups affected by COVID-19. 2 such groups were the Sea Gypsy, who were supported under the Fish for Rice initiative in the south, and the Karen peoples in the north. The Sea Gypsy community in Rawai Beach were able to build efficient solar stoves to produce sun-dried fish and seafood for food sharing and income to sustain their livelihood during and potentially beyond the pandemic. Akha women in Chiang Rai conduct knowledge sharing activities using native plants. In Chiang Rai, Akha women conducted knowledge sharing activities on native plants and herbal medicines through forest conservation efforts under the Forest Community School of Akha Peoples Project. Youth engagement on climate change. UNDP worked with different partners to mobilize youth to address climate change under several initiatives. The Action for Climate Empowerment Youth Camp was organized by the Thailand Greenhouse Gas Organization (TGO) and the Department of Environmental Quality Promotion (DEQP) with UNDP support. The event brought more than 100 youth together to create a youth network on climate change. Youth from all over Thailand were gathered in Nakhon Ratchasima to learn about climate-related policies, examples of ongoing programs and activities undertaken by both public and private sectors, as well as best practices from local administrative organizations. UNDP, through the Small Grants Program of the Global Environment Facility, provided support for youth volunteers from the Thailand Youth Biodiversity Network (GYBN Thailand) to visit the Pilaki ethnic community from Thong Pha Phum, Kanchanaburi Province and produce with them videos documenting the good local practices of sustainable agriculture and nature-based solutions to adapt farming to climate change. These also allowed a rich cultural exchange between youth from across the country with local ethnic youth and share experiences. QR code https://watch/question mark v=217694143527890. UNDP also supported GYBN Thailand to organize an online learning session on biodiversity to prepare young Thais to participate in the Youth Voices for Biodiversity Act as a youth-focused public hearing related to the draft Biodiversity Act being discussed in the Thai Parliament. The event convened experts from different sectors and covered issues related to law, ethnic minorities, gender, illegal wildlife, education, business and financing for biodiversity. A report was produced summarizing all inputs and submitted to the Office of Natural Resources and Environmental Policy and Planning (ONEP) to contribute the formulation of the Biodiversity Act. In 2020, UNDP and the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom conducted the world's biggest poll on climate change called the People's Climate Vote. An online video game was developed and entitled Mission 1.5 to serve as a platform to collect data. This new, unconventional approach to polling prompted a loud and clear response from the Thai public with more than 30,000 responses. 64% of the respondents indicated that climate change is a global emergency and highlighted conservation of forests and land, use of solar, wind, and renewable power, adoption of climate-friendly farming techniques, and more investment in green business and jobs as the most popular climate policies to be promoted. His Excellency Waravut Silapa Acha, Minister of Natural Resources and Environment, visited UNDP's exhibition booth held as part of Thai Environment Day and Thai Environment Day and the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Volunteer Day 2020, organized by the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. The NGO Youth for SDGs, with support from UNDP, also launched an initiative under the theme Environment and the Pandemic. An online competition opened the youths from ASEAN countries. The event was focused on 3 topics: waste management and medical waste, energy conservation and accessibility, and air pollution. Local challenges were identified and explained and disseminated through youth-made podcasts to increase awareness and knowledge on the issues. Watch the video. QR code https://watch?youtube.com/watch?mark v=q-i-w-q-2-f-v-h-e-n-o การรับฟังความคิดเห็นเยาวชนต่อร่างพระราชบัญญัติความหลากหลายทางชีวภาพ Youth Voices for Biodiversity Act Webinar 4 29th of April 2020 Time 1300 to 1430 Low Carbon Cities UNDP conducted 24 GHG emission reduction demonstration projects covering the 3 main sectors: waste, transport, and energy efficiency in 4 partner cities: เชียงใหม่ นครราชสีมา ขอนแก่น and สมุย By the end of 2020, it is estimated that the demonstration projects potentially accumulatively reduced greenhouse gases approximately 120,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. In Chiang Mai, the Smart Mobility Alliance Network was set up to create space that enable collaboration between private and public sectors to promote sustainable transport within the city. At the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, an electronic ticketing system was put in place to track movement of commuters on public buses in Chiang Mai, utilizing the nationwide tracking system Thai Chana. UNDP, in collaboration with the women group from Ban Thai Municipality, Phangan Island, Surat Thani Province, initiated a project using organic waste compositing to reduce methane emission and limit the use of local disposal site on the island, while producing composted soil conditioner used as fertilizers in local gardens. Demonstration project in Samui Island, Surat Thani Province to reduce greenhouse gas through sustainable waste management. Ban Chalong farming model. As part of the Social Innovation Youth Collab 2020 program implemented by UNDP, the Ban Chalong farming model presented by a team of 4 young students in architecture was among the winning projects. The expertise of the youth is used to redesign space not occupied by urban poor communities to start smart farming. The community is also supported to connect with the market to sell the vegetables. The Ban Chalong farming model aims to bring more than 200,000 baht of monthly income to the community and improve food security and overall quality of life for community members. Sustainable mangrove management and coastal ecosystem development. The Sustainable Mangrove Management and Coastal Ecosystem Development Project of UNDP, implemented in Phetchaburi Province, delivered a master plan and biodiversity finance plan for mangrove management through community-based social enterprise and sustainable tourism. The project was able to engage the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources, Provincial Office of Phetchaburi, impact investors, municipalities, and communities to develop both plans for mangrove conservation activities. Local communities in Phetchaburi gained knowledge and took part in mangrove conservation committees as the gatekeepers and change agents that can adapt national policy to local contexts. In 2020, the project promoted a participatory approach among policymakers, local government units, communities, and private sector to co-create the master plan for mangrove ecosystem restoration in Phetchaburi. A landscape approach was applied to foster a cross-sectoral collaboration in coastal resources land use planning and to raise community awareness of threats to and benefits from a rich and healthy biodiversity. The master plan emphasizes on number 1 in Roman numeric, ecosystem safeguarding and biodiversity conservation, and number 2 in Roman numeric, increase the livelihood improvement of 2 pilot sites in number 1 in bracket, Bang Tapoon, sub-district for rehabilitation of wetland and mangrove ecosystem, and number 2 in bracket, Pak Thale sub-district for bird sanctuary development. With technical backstopping provided by Biofin, the master plan will be integrated into the finance plan for sustainable mangrove management in Phetchaburi Province. The plan will also be used as a key policy document to support the localization of the SDGs in Phetchaburi Province. With continued support from an impact investor, the Blue Carbon Society, the project will support Phetchaburi Province as the capital of bird watching in Thailand. At Sara Pansuk, SE Biodiversity Research Team. Researchers surveying mangrove biodiversity at Bang Khun Sai Bird Conservation Area, Ban Lam District, Phetchaburi Province. The Next Frontier, Human Development and the Anthropocene. Launch of the 2020 Global Human Development Report in Bangkok, Thailand, on the 16th of December 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic is the latest crisis facing the world, but unless humans release their grip on nature, it won't be the last. According to the 2020 Human Development Report, The Next Frontier, Human Development and the Anthropocene by UNDP, which includes a new experimental index on human progress that takes into account countries' carbon dioxide emissions and material footprint. The report lays out a stark choice for world leaders. Take bold steps to reduce the immense pressure that is being exerted on the environment and the natural world, or humanity's progress will stall. Thailand, like many other countries, is facing challenges in securing a resilient recovery and tackling inequality without exacerbating planetary pressure. According to the report, Thailand has a Human Development Index (HDI) of 0.777 in 2019, remaining in the high human development category. Featuring at the 79th place in the world ranking out of 189 countries, Thailand is the developing country with the third highest progress in the world in its HDI ranking over the period 2014 to 2019, up by 8 ranks. This reflects the country's continued improvement in life expectancy at birth, years of schooling, and income per capita. Despite this progress, inequality as well as environmental strain loom large. Thailand's HDI declines by 16.9% to 0.646 when discounted for inequality. Furthermore, the country's HDI falls by 7.9% to 0.716 after adjusting for its carbon dioxide emissions and material footprint. On the heels of these developments came COVID-19. The pandemic's fallout on education, health, and income is threatening to reverse overall global progress in human development for the first time since the launch of the Human Development Index. Although Thailand's health response to the pandemic and ability to curb infection has been a remarkable success story, income and livelihoods have been severely impacted, and the country's progress in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) has been undermined. This calls for Thailand, along with the rest of the world, to rethink their development model, one that benefits all people and planet. QR code http://hdr.undp.org/en/2020-report. Rawai Sea Gypsy women prepare sun-dried fishes to sustain their livelihood during the COVID-19 pandemic. Section 3. Strengthening gender equality and social inclusion. Women's empowerment. When COVID-19 hit, it quickly became evident that the impact of the pandemic had gender features that disproportionately affected women. Since women are overrepresented in the service sector, which was one of the hardest hit sectors, women's livelihood opportunities were impacted overnight. The initiative providing support to barbers and hairdressers to safely open for business was one of the interventions targeting the disproportionate impact on women. Of the 1,000 hairdressers who took part of the initiative, 740 were women, reflecting their overrepresentation in the industry. UNDP has also provided livelihood support to women by providing entrepreneurial skills. In the southern border provinces, support to community enterprises equipped 18 women with entrepreneurial skills and business planning concepts. The women will continue to support other community enterprises, taking leadership positions in their communities. At the end of 2020, grants were awarded to civil society organizations, including women's organizations, to work for an inclusive and gender-responsive recovery from COVID-19. The organizations will continue their work in 2021. In addition to ensuring a gender-responsive recovery from COVID-19, UNDP promoted gender equality in other development initiatives by working with women as agents of change. In 2020, UNDP supported women from ethnic minorities in the enclave villages in the World Heritage Site to set up a fabric museum, which will be a convening place for the Women Network, as well as serve as a shop of traditional handicrafts. This initiative is part of a broader work of promoting wildlife protection in the World Heritage Site by promoting ways for the communities to live in harmony with wildlife. While it is important to recognize the contributions traditionally provided by women, it is also important to tackle stereotypes and promote women in non-traditional roles. UNDP's work to promote wildlife conservation has done just that. In the last 5 years, 200 women have participated in the training as forestry students. Many of them have after graduation continued to work for the Department of National Parks to improve the spatial monitoring and reporting tool, smart system in the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries all over the country. In Ban Thai Municipality, Phangan Island, Surat Thani Province, UNDP joined women leaders from both the government and the private sector in a joint activity related to organic waste composting as part of reducing methane emissions as well as take pressure off from the local disposal site. The organic waste composting results in products in the form of composted soil conditioner to be used for local gardens. This initiative is one of many contributing to low-carbon cities. Through the Global Environment Facility's Small Grant Program, UNDP supported civil society organizations to promote sustainable development. The grantees are actively involving women or are led directly by women's groups. One such example is a group of women from ethnic minorities contributing to biodiversity in Chiang Mai, while also conducting a livelihood support that they now wish to scale up to a social enterprise. Taking joint action to fight gender-based violence. Gender-based violence directed against women and LGBTI persons is already in ordinary times a serious and widespread problem. After the outbreak of COVID-19, with the restriction and stay-at-home orders that followed, alarms were raised in many countries of dramatically increased level of violence. To respond to the serious challenge, the UN agencies in Thailand decided to set up gender-based violence subgroup in order to coordinate and take joint action. The first activity of the subgroup was to commission a gender-based violence gap analysis and needs assessment of the response during COVID-19. The UN country team also used the United Nations Secretary-General's campaign to end violence against women, Unite campaign, during the 16 days of violence to conduct joint advocacy on the need to combat gender-based violence. In the southern border provinces, UNDP and UN Women co-organized an awareness-raising event. Ethnic Youth for Sustainable Development. One of the winning teams of Youth Collab, Indigenous Youth for Sustainable Development, IY4SD, consists of 3 LGBTI women from Thailand's ethnic minorities. Their idea is to tackle 2 problems simultaneously: gender inequality and job opportunities. They work with women and members of the LGBTI community through training in weaving. The commodities they plan to produce range from bags to traditional shirts with the rainbow color as their product identity. The team believes that the products will not only bring income to the communities, but also be a tool to spread the word of ethnic minority and LGBTI rights, moving from tolerance to inclusion of LGBTI people. UNDP provides extensive support to LGBTI people by supporting a more inclusive legal framework, as well as tackling issues of stigma and discrimination. In February, UNDP released the report Stories of Stigma, a qualitative study exploring the ways Thai transgender women are affected by stigma. The report explores how experiences of stigma affect health-seeking behavior and health outcomes among transgender people, especially in relation to HIV treatment and care. This study builds on UNDP's work on legal gender recognition of transgender people in Thailand. In 2018, UNDP and the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security jointly conducted a study entitled Legal Gender Recognition in Thailand, a legal and policy review to comprehensively review existing laws, policies, and practices. The study found that legal gender recognition remains a barrier to social inclusion, access to health and social services, and enjoyment of human rights for transgender people in Thailand. To address this legal barrier facing transgender people, UNDP have in 2020 provided support to the LGBTI community in Thailand to develop a draft legal gender recognition law. Due to different priorities among the various groups within the LGBTI community, different versions of the draft law have been developed. Accordingly, UNDP co-organized a seminar with civil society groups on 8 December to review each draft. A consensus was made at the end of the seminar to combine different versions into one. These will allow the community to speak louder with a common voice when continuing their advocacy for legal gender recognition. My older sister, at one time, was trying to make me a real man because I am the only son in the house and I am also the youngest child. So I said, "Older sister, we cannot choose how we are born, but we can choose what we want to be. You can take a stick and beat me, but I will be unable to stop being a little girl." เป็นตุ๊ดเป็นแต๋ว I repeat, I am a transgender เป็นตุ๊ด It is not like having a flu and taking 2 paracetamol. Sleep one night and then it is over. May, age 29, from ประจวบคีรีขันธ์ province. UNDP promotes awareness raising to reduce discrimination and stigma toward LGBTI people, such as that described in Story of Stigma and the 2019 report Tolerance but Not Inclusion. UNDP sat on a subcommittee led by the Office of the National Broadcasting and Telecommunication Commission to develop a guideline that includes do's and don'ts on reporting news related to youth and LGBTI people, as well as some examples of good and bad reporting by some news agencies in Thailand for broadcasting media, addressing an area where many LGBTI people face discrimination. UNDP worked with companies to promote diversity and inclusion of the LGBTI people in the workplace. One company that UNDP worked with in 2020 was Sansiri, who has become a champion among Thai companies to promote LGBTI inclusion within their organization and in their business practices. When UNDP and the Asia Pacific Transgender Network reached out to the LGBTI community through a survey at the start of the pandemic, deteriorating mental health was identified as one of the areas of concern. UNDP and the Equal Asia Foundation, in partnership with Save the Children Thailand, Asia Pacific Alliance for Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights, and the Asia Pacific Transgender Network, organized a webinar on the topic of mental health among LGBTI persons in the context of COVID-19. The webinar allowed to exchange experiences and to discuss collaborative action to advance mental health of LGBTI people. Copyright UNDP. Consultation conducted with LGBTI sex workers as part of the UN Country Team's Common Country Analysis (CCA) formulation. Promoting disability inclusion. In 2020, UNDP worked with the Department for the Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities of the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security to empower persons with disabilities and to protect their rights. An important lesson from the outbreak of COVID-19 was the need to quickly provide information, which largely had to be online. For many persons with disabilities, information posted online is still not accessible, either due to lack of equipment or due to non-accessible formats. UNDP and the department therefore jointly decided to improve the accessibility of the department's website. The website will be finalized in 2021. In collaboration with the Office of the Basic Education Commission, the Department of Disaster Prevention, the Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation, and the Thai Red Cross Society, UNDP jointly launched the first guidelines for tsunami evacuation plans and drills for schools. The guidelines use universal design to ensure that they are inclusive to all, regardless of their abilities. In November, training of trainers was organized in Phang Nga to train 90 teachers from high-risk areas of Phang Nga and Andaman coastal provinces. On 9 December, a tsunami evacuation drill was conducted at a selected school to test the understanding of the guidelines and training. Among the students participating in the drill, various forms of disabilities were represented. Promoting inclusion and the empowerment of persons with disabilities is an area where UNDP is committed to deepen its future work. As part of this, UNDP co-led the consultation conducted with persons with disabilities and their organizations as part of the drafting of the UN Country Team's Common Country Analysis. The consultation aimed at hearing from people with disabilities about their concerns and areas they want to be addressed. Discrimination, lack of accessibility, and lack of employment opportunities were some of the concerns raised. Vulcan Coalition training persons with disabilities to do artificial intelligence AI task. Copyright UNDP. ปฐมวดีอินตะนนท์ a student with physical and mobility impairment. As part of UNDP's response to the impacts of COVID-19, a grant has been provided to the Artificial Intelligence AI Specialized Vulcan Coalition and the Social Administration Foundation. The organization's vision is to provide the most in-demand careers for persons with disabilities. Their idea is to provide employment opportunities to persons with disability through tasks related to training AI, leveraging the unique strengths of people with disabilities. For instance, persons with visual impairment tend to have good hearing skill, so they might be able to do audio transcription quickly and precisely. Similarly, persons with hearing loss might be able to provide good detailed caption for the photos they see. The project started in late 2020 and will in 2021 continue by conducting digital trainings for 1,000 of persons with disabilities across the country, followed by involving job matching for 500 positions. This project will not only provide job opportunities for 500 persons with disabilities and improve their digital skills, but the AI products will be beneficial to both persons with disabilities and those without disabilities, such as audiobooks for persons with visual impairment or print disability and smart home devices. Besides education that I have to adjust myself to new methods of teaching, I have been negatively impacted by the COVID-19 socially and economically. If I eventually get hired through this AI training program, I will earn an income to support my educational and living expenses, said Pathomwadi Intamon, a student with physical and mobility impairment. Participants at Thailand Policy Lab signing ceremony to discuss the work plan for 2021. Section 4. Innovating and Partnering for a Sustainable Future. UNDP Promoting Innovation in Thailand. On 17 September 2020, UNDP and the government, represented by the National Economic and Social Development Council, took an important step to promote innovative policy solutions for Thailand and the region by signing a partnership agreement to establish the Thailand Policy Lab. This initiative aims to accelerate innovation in public policy and services to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and share Thailand's experience with other countries in the region and beyond. It focuses both on the substance of policies but also on the process required to formulate them, ensuring a more participatory and bottom-up approach by including more stakeholders and listening to community. One of the areas of work for the lab is to reimagine tourism in Thailand by exploring sustainable tourism practices in the post-pandemic world. To kick off this work, a sense-making workshop was organized to bring together stakeholders from the tourism sector to better assess the impact of the pandemic, identify common trends across industry and the sector at large, and to identify collaborative opportunities to move forward on policy innovation in the tourism sector. UNDP and the Akire Lehedankaria Center for Social and Political Studies, a think tank from Spain, have been working on the conceptualization of a social innovation platform for southern Thailand since 2019. This platform focuses on the potential of food system transformation as a driver for systemic economic and social change. After mapping stakeholders, interviews were conducted to identify and study existing challenges and opportunities that emerged as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. From the ethnographic and digital listening undertaken with Southern Thai communities and with the experience from the Basque Food Innovation Lab Imago, the platform has produced a portfolio of interconnected initiatives to be tested with the communities to ultimately improve social cohesion and strengthen local economic development. The Royal Thai Government, represented by National Economic and Social Development Council (NESDC), signs a partnership agreement with UNDP to establish an innovation lab in Thailand. Private sector engagement. In 2020, UNDP's engagement with the private sectors focused on encouraging businesses of all sizes to move beyond traditional activities of corporate social responsibility to incorporating SDGs into their business operations and strategies. In doing so, UNDP worked with the Security and Exchange Commission (SEC) and the Global Compact Network Thailand to organize events and workshops for companies to raise awareness and educate companies on the importance of sustainability to their business and how to measure and manage businesses' contributions to the SDGs. For example, in February 2020, UNDP together with SEC and GCNT, organized a seminar titled From ESG to SDGs, Integrating SDGs, Impact Measurement and Management Framework in Business and Investment Strategies. The event's key message of shifting from environmental, social, and corporate governance to SDG was very well received by participating companies, investors, financial regulators, and government agencies. With such positive feedback, the SEC decided to incorporate a new reporting requirement for businesses to be effective in 2022, an SDG impact measurement and management framework for companies to use when drafting their sustainability report. In 2020, the real estate developer Sansiri, one of Thailand's leading real estate developers, expressed an interest to partner with UNDP and the Office of the United Nations High Commissioners for Human Rights and seek technical assistance to adopt the standard of conduct for business, tackling discrimination against lesbian, gay, bi, trans, and intersex people. The company organized a signing ceremony on 28 May to announce their commitment. They became the first private company in Thailand to publicly commit to the standards of conduct for business. UNDP looks forward to continuing to support Sansiri and its work to become a champion for diversity and inclusion in the workplace. UNDP and the Security and Exchange Commission, Thai Listed Company Association, and Global Compact Network Thailand organized the workshop SDG Smart Impact Measurement and Management to introduce listed companies to the concept of SDGs, the role of private sector in contributing to the SDGs, how to integrate SDGs lens into their business operation and strategies, as well as how to measure and manage their SDG impacts. UNDP and Change Fusion, an NGO dedicated to social entrepreneurship, launched Thailand's first ever Impact Accelerating Program, the SDGs Impact Accelerator Program. These programs supported 20 impact enterprises to achieve financial sustainability, while addressing through their business model some of the socio-economic issues highlighted by the SDGs. Following a rigorous selection process nationwide, out of 79 enterprises that applied to the program, 20 enterprises were selected to participate in an intensive investment readiness program from September to December 2020. Finalists were guided on the impact measurement and management, tailored business and impact acceleration assistance through a series of interactive workshops and consultation sessions. They had the opportunity to connect with impact investor and venture capitalists with support from social impact practitioners and senior experts from UNDP. UNDP and Change Fusion launched Thailand's first Impact Accelerating Program, Impact Venture. UNDP leveraged its unique global network to support Thai social entrepreneurs by connecting them with more through the Impact Venture Dialogues, providing the opportunity for them to adjust business model to sustain enterprises during and post-COVID-19. Over 100 social entrepreneurs in Asia-Pacific got the chance to connect, exchange knowledge, and foster collaborations. The dialogue series sparked discussions on how disruption to traditional economic activities like COVID-19 can drive and create new opportunities for businesses, workers, and consumers alike. These sessions also allowed for an exchange of experiences between fellow social entrepreneurs on how to diversify, adapt, and create more inclusive and resilient business models and products. Read more. QR code https://www.th.unndp.org/presenter/articles/2020/impact-venture-highphen-vendor-highphen-adjusting-hyphen South-South cooperation. In 2020, UNDP initiated several South-South cooperation activities and engaged with over 20 countries, benefiting Thailand partners in a number of key areas, including COVID-19 recovery, business and human rights, biodiversity conservation, and youth engagement. Asia-Pacific region. UNDP Thailand, in collaboration with the Urban Youth Academy, co-hosted the Asia-Pacific Youth Exchange. The program brought together over 100 youth participants from 14 countries within Asia and the Pacific to participate in social innovation training and immersion in the local community to develop innovative solutions, enhance sustainable development, and contextualize SDGs within local communities. The map of Bhutan, the map of Philippines, the map of Thailand. UNDP, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the Philippines Park and Biodiversity Group, the DENR Biodiversity Management Bureau of the Philippines, and the Philippines House of Representatives co-organized a conservation learning session. Financial resiliency for protected areas and key biodiversity areas, plans and programs during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. Biofin Thailand joined hands with Bhutan and the Philippines to provide snapshot direction for COVID-19 financial resiliencies on protected areas management. Over 1,250 participants from neighboring countries joined the live stream and learned about digital platform developed in Thailand for the new normal traveling practice. The map of Japan, the map of Singapore, the map of South Korea. An online session of Impact Venture Dialogue organized by UNDP brought together social entrepreneurs from Thailand, South Korea, Singapore, and Japan to discuss how they can turn COVID-19 challenges into business opportunities and how to be flexible in their business models during the time of the crisis for the sustainability of their businesses. The map of India, the map of Indonesia, the map of Malaysia, the map of Mongolia, the map of Myanmar, the map of Sri Lanka. The Business and Human Rights Project in Thailand facilitated and organized peer learning sessions with other project implementing countries, namely India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Mongolia, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka. A learning session on human rights due diligence, HRDD, took place among business and human rights specialists, which provided a platform to share Thailand's experience on conducting the HRDD trainings with Thai companies as part of the pilot training at Business and Human Rights Academy that UNDP co-organized with Global Compact Network Thailand, the Security and Exchange Commissions, and the Ministry of Justice. UNDP and the UN in Thailand. Logo of United Nations. United Nations Thailand. Logo of United Nations UN 75 2020 and beyond, sharing our future together. UNDP joined United Nations in Thailand to commemorate the UN 75th anniversary through an online campaign promoting the Sustainable Development Goals under 5 key areas: people, prosperity, planet, peace, and partnership. These included promotion of an online survey urging the public to share their thoughts on their global priority issues of concern. Learn more, QR code https://un75.online. In 2020, the UN country team in Thailand started its work on preparing for its next 5-year cycle, 2022 to 2026, to start with the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. An important step to develop the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework (UNSDCF) is to conduct a common country analysis, which is the UN system's independent, impartial, and collective assessment of the country's development situation to examine progress, gaps, opportunities, and bottlenecks of the country's commitment to achieving the 2030 Agenda and the SDGs. An important aspect of the analysis is to also hear from vulnerable groups in Thailand about their needs and concerns, which was carried out through consultations with vulnerable groups under the leadership of various UN agencies, jointly with the United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS, UNAIDS. A series of consultations were conducted with people living with HIV, people who inject drugs, sex workers, men who have sex with men, including bisexual population and transgender groups, with UNDP, UNICEF, and the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA. A consultation with Thailand's ethnic minorities was organized in Chiang Mai. A consultation with people with disabilities was organized jointly with UNFPA, UNICEF, and UN Habitat. The fundings from these consultations will provide guidance to the UN system's upcoming priorities in Thailand. Logo of Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO. Logo of International Labour Organization, ILO. Logo of UN Migration, IOM. Logo of United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS, UNAIDS. Logo of UNDP. Logo of United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. Logo of UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, UNDRR. Logo of United Nations Environment Programme, UN Environment. Logo of United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Logo of United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA. Logo of UN Habitat for a Better Urban Future. Logo of the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR. Logo of United Nations Human Rights, Office of the High Commissioner. Logo of United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, for every child. Logo of United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO. Logo of United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. Logo of United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS. Logo of UN Volunteers. Logo of UN Women. Logo of World Health Organization, and logo of United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP. Other joint activities undertaken by UNDP and other UN agencies include: UNDP co-organized with the International Labour Organization a session on responsible supply chain in Asia during the 4th National Dialogue on Business and Human Rights. ILO introduced their tools and guidelines for companies to manage human rights risks and impact on labor issues during COVID-19 crisis. UNDP conducted a risk assessment activity to identify with the companies what these risks are. This collaboration was a good opportunity for both agencies to interact with the business sector and promote their respective roles to protect human rights and also further contribute to the promotion of the guideline principles on business and human rights. UNESCAP, UN Habitat, Biofin Thailand provided the mayor of Koh Tao District Municipality Office a fellowship to participate in the 2020 to 2021 Asia Pacific Mayors Academy. The mayor of Koh Tao District gained knowledge and was exposed to the best practices on designing, planning, and managing sustainable urban development, taking actions on COVID-19 response and recovery, planning for sustainable development pathways, building resilience for the island, and financing for sustainable urban development. Youth and COVID-19 Impact Survey with UNICEF, UNFPA, and National Children and Youth Council. Generation Unlimited Program with UNICEF. Generation Unlimited is a global youth innovation challenge led by UNICEF. The program is focusing on three main issues that youth around the world are facing: education, skill for future employment, and girls' empowerment. This year, the program in Thailand is co-hosted by UNICEF and UNDP, with a specific focused area at the deep south of Thailand. More than 100 applications were received addressing a variety of issues such as education for migrant youth, bullying issues in the school, mental health support for youth, job training for youth in juvenile center, etc. During the program, the selected teams were equipped with knowledge and resources to come up with ideas to solve the issues. UNDP provided them the training on human-centered design process, matched them with experts on business and their selected issues, and provided grants to test their ideas. As the result, the youth developed a deeper understanding on social issues around them and were empowered to create sustainable development within their communities. Youth Collab 2020 Program. The 2020 Youth Collab Program, an initiative co-led by UNDP and City Foundation, was supported by UNICEF, the Thailand Institute of Justice, National Innovation Agency, and True Incube to empower youth to address local challenges and strengthen livelihoods through social innovation and entrepreneurship focused on youth for COVID recovery. In response to evidence of increasing gender-based violence during the lockdown related to COVID-19 pandemic, the UN country team in Thailand established a gender-based violence subgroup under the leadership of UNFPA and UN Women. In 2020, UNDP contributed to the subgroup in conducting a gender-based violence gap analysis and needs assessment during COVID-19. In parallel, the UN country team conducted a joint awareness campaign targeting the general public through public announcements and digital boards in cities across Thailand during the annual campaign on 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The UN system based in Thailand under the leadership of UNSCAP and UN Women organized an event bringing women from Thailand and the broader region to commemorate International Women's Day. Thematic and working groups. UNDP contributes to the achievement of the objectives set in the United Nations Partnership Agreement framework signed between the Royal Thai Government and the United Nations country team covering the period 2017 to 2021. UNDP provides policy advice and advocacy on issues such as gender equality, social and economic inequality, human rights, and rule of law, with expertise from across the UN agencies. This work is carried out as a unified UN through thematic working groups. UN Thematic Working Group on Non-Communicable Diseases. The UN Thematic Working Group on NCDs in Thailand was established in April 2019 to follow up on the recommendations of the United Nations Interagency Task Force. UNIATF Mission on the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Diseases, which was conducted in 2018. The UN Thematic Working Group on NCDs is co-chaired by the UN Resident Coordinator and the Director General of Department of Disease Control, Ministry of Public Health, MOPH, with WHO Thailand and MOPH as co-secretariat. The members comprise of representatives from government ministries, civil society organizations, and UN agencies. Nationally Determined Contributions NDC Working Group UNDP as chair of the United Nations Country Team UNCT Working Group on Nationally Determined Contributions is supporting the Royal Thai government to deliver climate targets and actions, enhancing collaboration and synergy between projects and programs on climate change across the UN family. The Peace and Governance Results Group UNDP as co-chair with UN Women leads the Peace and Governance Working Group. This ensures that UN initiatives and activities on peace and governance are coordinated and carried out under the One UN approach, encouraging UN agencies to work together and benefit from others' experience. The Deep South Working Group Reference number 1. This refers to the South Border provinces. End of reference number 1. UNDP as co-chair with UNICEF leads the Deep South Working Group, bringing together 9 UN agencies and the World Bank working in the southern border provinces. The working group enhanced greater understanding of the southernmost part of the country from a peace, security, and development point of view and supported conflict-sensitive interventions. Gender Equality and Social Inclusion Theme Group. Since 2019, UNDP and UN Women have co-chaired the Gender Equality and Social Inclusion Theme Group of the UNCT. The scope of the theme group was expanded from gender equality to also including social inclusion, capturing the mandate of the UN of leaving no one behind. UN Joint Team on AIDS in Thailand. UNDP Thailand regularly participates in the UN Joint Team on AIDS meeting chaired by UNAIDS Thailand, which also serve as the secretariat to the group. Members of the group consist of UN agencies in Thailand that work on ending HIV and AIDS to strategize and better coordinate interventions. A key part of the team's work is to develop a joint work plan on AIDS, which will guide the work of UN agencies and also the co-sponsors' utilization of the UNAIDS Unified Budget, Results and Accountabilities Framework Country Envelope. Stateless Working Group. In September 2020, UNDP organized a session by the Titang team, one of the winners from UNDP Youth Collab project, comprising of stateless team members. Titang was invited to recount their experience as stateless individuals and to present their work on the advocacy to acquire citizenship through the use of media. The session, chaired by UNHCR, was presented to the working group, which includes UNDP, UNHCR, IOM, and other non-governmental organizations. The presentation shed a brighter light on the struggle of the stateless individuals and sparked an interest among the UN agencies working in the human rights and migration field. Data Results Group. UNDP has collaborated with other UN agencies under the UN Thailand Data Results Group in further strengthening the assessment of SDG progress and identifying the gaps in the data system to support the national efforts, particularly by the National Economic and Social Development Council and National Statistical Office, in tracking Thailand's SDG advancement. UN Joint Team on Young People. With the UN Joint Team on Young People, UNDP participated in a study to explore UN strategic engagement on youth in Thailand, with expected results in a more effective and holistic approach for UN agencies to be working with and for youth in Thailand. United Nations Volunteer UNV and Volunteerism in Thailand. The United Nations Volunteer UNV program is the UN organization that promotes volunteerism to support peace and development worldwide. Volunteerism can transform the pace and nature of development, and it benefits both society at large and the individual volunteer. UNDP and UNV commit to leaving no one behind, and as part of this commitment, the talent program promotes the inclusion of persons with disabilities into the UN workplace. With the generous support from the government of Sweden, UNDP opened a job opportunity under this program. In October 2020, a person with visual impairment was selected to work as a staff in the position of Program Associate, which focused specifically on disability issues. Here is a link to the video to celebrate International Day of Persons with Disabilities on 3rd December 2020. The video shadows the staff on her daily life working at UNDP Thailand. The video also highlights the important work UNDP did to promote disability inclusion in Thailand through capacity building and employment, together with other ongoing work in collaboration with the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security. QR code https://v=TJP@POB6HDE. On the top left corner is the logo of United Nations, United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. On the top right corner has a logo of United Nations, UN Volunteers. South-South in Action. South-South volunteering as a driving force for development, experiences from Asia and the Pacific. Download now. QR code. Volunteers wanted. Experience the work of the UN. Engage as an online volunteer through our volunteer network, V-Force Thailand. Things you can do: graphic design, translation, research, journalism, teaching, video editing, project management. Sign up https://bit.ly/377OACD. QR code. UN Volunteers, V-Force, United Nations Thailand. UN Volunteer Day, the International Volunteer Day, IVD 2020. The International Volunteer Day, IVD, is celebrated annually since 1986 and is an opportunity for individual volunteers, communities, and organizations to promote their contributions to development at the local, national, and international levels. In 2020, IVD aims to showcase volunteers' contributions and impact by highlighting local actions during COVID-19 and thank volunteers for their actions and commitment under the theme Together We Can through volunteering, accelerating sustainable development and ongoing further. The event was organized by United Nations volunteers, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Thailand, attended by UN agencies, government partners from Asia and the Pacific in charge of volunteering, UN volunteers serving in the Asia and the Pacific, and representatives of ministries with existing volunteer programs. The event was to discuss how volunteerism can help to localize SDGs and recover better after the pandemic to improve a community's physical, social, environmental, and economic conditions, and to create a more resilient community, thereby helping communities to prevent and adapt to crises. UNDP Knowledge Products. Publications can be accessed at QR code https://www.content/content/home/library.html. Tackling Intricate Risks in Government Contracts. QR code Youth Collab Thailand 2020. The Catalogue of Process and Solutions. QR code Mapping of Good Practices for the Management of Transgender Prisoners. QR code Socio-Economic Impact Assessment of COVID-19 in Thailand. QR code UNDP Annual Report 2019. QR code Mapping the Social Impact Investment and Innovative Finance Landscape in Thailand. QR code A Parliamentary Handbook. QR code Sustainable Development Goals Booklet. QR code The Biodiversity Finance Plan. QR code Thailand National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights. QR code National Guidelines for Tsunami Evacuation. QR code Sustainable Development Goals Booklet. QR code Human Development Report 2020 Overview Thai English. QR code UNDP Funding 2020 UNDP Expenditures per SDG. All SDGs $7,949,479. SDG 1 No Poverty $223,228 3%. SDG 2 Zero Hunger $123,403 2%. SDG 3 Good Health and Well-being $180,045 2%. SDG 4 Quality Educations $20,707 0%. SDG 5 Gender Equality $823,669 10%. SDG 6 Clean Water and Sanitation $19,926 0%. SDG 7 Affordable and Clean Energy $639,189 8%. SDG 8 Decent Work and Economic Growth $1,314,813 17%. SDG 9 Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure $187,184 2%. SDG 10 Reduced Inequalities $1,668,805 21%. SDG 11 Sustainable Cities and Communities $84,895 1%. SDG 12 Responsible Consumption and Production $551,789 7%. SDG 13 Climate Action $113,835 1%. SDG 14 Life Below Water $460,766 6%. SDG 15 Life on Land $626,872 8%. SDG 16 Peace, Justice and Strong Institutions $448,992 6%. SDG 17 Partnerships for the Goals $461,361 6%. UNDP Contribution to Gender Equality. UNDP has introduced since 2009 the gender marker as a tool to track the organization's expenditure towards contributions to gender equality. It consists of a 4-point scale from not expected to contribute to gender equality, Gen 0, to gender equality being the principal objective, Gen 3. In 2020, UNDP Thailand implemented activities through several projects, including both national, regional, and global projects with activities in Thailand and initiatives, of which 2.7% of the projects had gender equality as their principal objective, Gen 3. 51.4% had gender equality as a significant objective, Gen 2. 43.2% contributed to gender equality in a limited way, Gen 1, while 2.7% were not expected to contribute to gender equality. UNDP commitment to prevention of sexual harassment, sexual exploitation, and abuse. All forms of sexual harassment and sexual exploitation and abuse, SEA, are acceptable and are prohibited in UNDP, whether perpetrated against a recipient of assistance or a co-worker. Sexual harassment, exploitation, and abuse violate human rights and are a betrayal of the core value of the United Nations. It is our collective priority to prevent such behaviors and to support those affected. We are also committed to ensure that all allegations of sexual harassment and SEA are responded to swiftly, appropriately, and effectively. UNDP adheres to the standard of conduct related to sexual harassment are covered by the Policy on Harassment, Sexual Harassment, Discrimination, and Abuse of Authority. For more information, visit QR code https://www.undp.org/accountability/prevention-sexual-misconduct. Contributing partners. In 2020, UNDP has mobilized as much as $11.7 million from the Royal Thai Government (RTG), as well as international and local donors. This is considered as the highest annual non-core resources mobilized during the current country program cycle 2017 to 2021. Non-core resources from Global Environment Facility (GEF) of $5 million, 43%, contributes to wildlife conservation, climate action, and a sustainable management of natural resources and small grants program. $2.5 million, 22% from Japan, is responding to COVID-19 response and recovery. $1.4 million, 12% from Office of the National Economic and Social Development Council (NESDC) and Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the RTG are earmarked for Thailand Policy Lab and National Human Development Report, while another $1.4 million, 12%, is also from UNDP Trust Funds responding to COVID-19 and Biodiversity Finance and National Determined Contribution (NDC). $1.4 million, 11%, is from European Commissions, Sweden, United Kingdom, United States of America, and private sectors in Thailand. $5,015,074 from Global Environment Facility (GEF), $2,513,604 from Japan, $1,369,591 from Royal Thai Government, Ministry of Foreign Affairs MFA, National Innovation Agency NIA, and National Economic and Social Development Council NESDC, $1,354,059 from UNDP, $334,387 from European Union, $314,276 from Sweden, Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency SIDA, $277,676 from United Kingdom Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office FCDO, $154,331 from City Foundation. Core donors to UNDP Global. Regular Resources or CORE is the pillar of UNDP's support to countries to eradicate poverty and inequality, attain sustainable development, and strengthen resilience to crisis. Core resources allow UNDP to enable coordinated, flexible, and rapid responses to development needs and emergencies, provide capacity for multi-sectoral and integrated solutions, support countries to leverage financings for the SDGs, and enhance thought leadership, innovation, and quality assurance. We would therefore like to thank our partners at CORE. The picture of a map of Germany, map of United States, map of Japan, map of United Kingdom, map of Sweden, map of Norway, map of Switzerland, map of Canada, map of Denmark, map of Netherlands, who we are and where we work. With its office in Bangkok, a lot of UNDP's work takes place in Thailand's capital. However, UNDP's reach stretches far beyond Bangkok, with activities in many of the 77 provinces of Thailand to leave no one behind and address the needs of the most vulnerable populations. UNDP Thailand team as of 31st December 2020. The UNDP Thailand team consists of 53 staff members, 49 are Thai nationals, and 4 are from other countries, France, Mauritius, Norway, and Sweden. Out of the 53 staff members, 37 are women, 10 men, and 6 are LGBTI. The academic and professional background of the team includes communications, government affairs, law, international development, social and political science, business, environmental science, forestry, providing a wide range of skills and expertise to support the implementation of the UNDP program. 53 total, 4 international staff, 49 national staff, 37 women, 10 men, 6 LGBTI. List of acronyms: ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, BioFin, Biodiversity Finance Initiative, CAC, Coalition Against Corruption, CSO, Civil Society Organization, ESG, Environmental, Social and Corporate Governance, FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FRF, Financial Reporting Network, GCF, Green Climate Fund, GEF, Global Environment Facility, GEF SGP, Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, GESI, Gender Equality and Social Inclusion, GHG, Greenhouse Gas, GYBN, Global Youth Biodiversity Network, HDI, Human Development Index, IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, INFF, Integrated National Financing Framework, IWT, Illegal Wildlife Trade, LGBTI, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender and Intersex, MONRE, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment MOPH Ministry of Public Health MOU Memorandum of Understanding NCD Non-Communicable Diseases NDC Nationally Determined Contribution NGO Non-Governmental Organization ONEP Office of Natural Resources and Environmental Policy and Planning RTG Royal Thai Government SDGs Sustainable Development Goals Thai PBS Thai Public Broadcasting Service UN United Nations UN Women United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women UNCT United Nations Country Team UNDP United Nations Development Program UNICEF United Nations Children's Fund UNITF United Nations Interagency Task Force UNFPA United Nations Population Fund UNGP United Nations Guiding Principles UNV United Nations Volunteers Back cover Bruno Meyer Resident Representative Lovita Ramkutti Deputy Resident Representative Gerge Kiander Gender Equality and Social Inclusion Advisor Radiant Gearstart SDG Advisor นิตยาเมฆอรุณเรือง Resource Management Associate วดีดีประวัติ Communications and Outreach Specialist สุขุมาอุทธรักษ์ Communications Assistant นิจการกวีวรยาน Program Associate Nick Maddock Language Editor This report has been prepared with inputs from program officers, project managers, and project communication officers. Designed by QUO Global, 22nd floor, Ocean Tower 2, 75/41-42, Sukhumvit 19, Bangkok 10110, Thailand. Telephone 662-260-9494 www.quor-global.com Print Process Scan Media Corporation Limited 211 ซอยประเสริฐมนูญกิจ 29 Bangkok 10230 Thailand Telephone 662-943-7166 Email contact@scanmedia.com On the upper left corner has UNDP logo. UNDP United Nations Development Program Thailand 12th floor United Nations Building ราชดำเนินนอก Avenue Bangkok 10200 Thailand Email undp.thailand@undp.org Telephone 662-288-3350 Facebook UNDP Thailand Twitter UNDP Thailand YouTube UNDP Thailand Instagram UNDP Thailand LinkedIn UNDP-Thailand TikTok UNDP Thailand Clubhouse UNDP Thailand On the lower left corner has QR code. This report is available as audiobook and can be accessed using the QR code. The end.